Welcome.
You are watching Line Screw 1. Well, hello tubers, hope you're doing well. Today I'm going grocery shopping, and one of the craziest things that I've noticed that has been happening this year in the grocery business is shrinkflation. And it's been going on for decades, of course, but because of the way the economy is and supply issues and things like that, the size of products are seriously shrinking. And it's even worse here in Canada for some products, like, dairy products are very expensive because we have marketing boards that have monopolies on milk and milk products. So I'm gonna go into the local Save On Foods. That's one of our billionaire-owned grocery stores by Jim Pattison. I actually worked for the guy in one of his grocery stores maybe 35 years ago. But I'm going to show you this crazy shrinkflation and how everything is getting smaller. It's just nutty. Now, of course, everybody's price point conscious, so a lot of people are mostly paying attention to the prices, but they're not paying attention to how they're paying the same amount maybe for a smaller package of the same stuff they're buying. So you got to keep your eye sharp out there, or else they're going to take you. And what are you going to do? Especially if it's a product you need or you just love, you're going to keep buying it, and what are you going to do? But at some point, it's going to get ridiculous. So let's head into Save On Foods out here in the Metro Vancouver suburbs and show you what I'm talking about. So let's get rolling into Save On Foods, or as us locals like to call it, Cave On Foods, because decades ago, one of the stores that they freshly built, the roof caved in on it. So I'm old enough to still call it Cave On Foods, but it's Save On Foods. It's a big chain here in Western Canada. So let's start with one of the worst offenders on the incredibly shrinking product package of grocery items, and it's coffee. Coffee, I think, was one of the first products to start shrinking. They've done all sorts of dirty tricks by having a big tin with very little product, or puffing the product, designing with a false bottom that protrudes up to make it look like you got more coffee in the plastic tin. But I'm old enough to remember when a pound tin of coffee was exactly that. It was a pound tin of coffee. But let's talk about this Folgers here. 11.3 ounces for you Americans out there, which is 320 grams. I'll tend to stick to grams because the whole world uses metric, and even American food now has metric packaging. So anyway, this Folgers coffee, which Folgers is available, of course, in the US of A, it's 11.3 ounces. But they make the package look like it's big. Makes it look like you're getting a pound of coffee. You ain't getting a pound of coffee there. And as proof that I am in Canada, if you notice the labeling, it's also bilingual, English and French. So if you're an American and you want to come up to Canada and you want to play games with people, just go into a store and yell, "Je voudrais service en français tout de suite. Mais oui." Which translated means, I would like service in French right away. Okay, so just memorize that and play head games with people. And the dastardly evil coffee people, the caffeine merchants out there, they also extend their little product shrinkage to the specialty coffees like this Maxwell House Swiss Mocha. Yeah, those tins used to be bigger. Yeah, 205 grams. They're actually quite small. And one of the worst products out there that I've seen in the coffee aisle today was this Classico Classic Roast, a measly 8.8 ounces. Come on! It's all about making that can look nice, catches your eye with the contrasting red on the silver. But let's face it, come on, 8.8 ounces? Back in the day, a tin of coffee was 16 ounces. A lot of kids today won't even know that a pound has 16 ounces. But yeah, this is shrunk to almost half the size. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I put the coffee merchants out there as some of the worst offenders out there. Probably because, you know, coffee is an expensive product, relatively speaking, compared to some other grocery products you may buy. Now, I wanted to pick products that were available in the US and Canada and maybe even international. And Ritz crackers is a typical product that is available on a wide scale on many parts of the Western democracies. And can you believe that they're making a 200-gram package? Now, I mean, that's a tiny, tiny package. But you think, hey, well, maybe I only want a small amount because they do go stale, which is probably the only valid argument that I have about buying a smaller packaged item as a single person or if you're a small family. If you're not going to use crackers quick enough or keep them tightly sealed, they're not going to stay fresh as long. So 200 grams is probably a really good size for that. But other than that, it's a dumb idea to buy because obviously the more you buy, the cheaper the product is. But here's where it gets funny on the cracker aisle. I'm going to show you the family size of a cracker now. Keep in mind, this was 200 grams. Now look at these wheat thin originals. They call this the family size, 350 grams. Woo! That's a whopping huge size. Yeah, the family size of the wheat thins, you know, 15, 20 years ago were not this small, folks. I guarantee they were not this small. Correct me if I am wrong, but when you're bragging that the family size of the old Christie's wheat thins is 350 grams, not so in my mind. But tell me if I'm wrong. And even some of the specialty canned goods stuff, I know the photograph doesn't show the scale, but this is a very small tin of mandarin orange segments in light syrup. It makes it sound like it's special. 284 milliliters. This is about the size of a cup. Yeah, it's kind of pathetic, but what can you do? How often do you need mandarin-sized segments? Probably not too often, so this one, we might give them a pass on it. Now, some of the spreads have become very expensive, such as honey. Honey is very expensive. There's been a lot of counterfeiting and diluting of the product. I don't know if you guys have read how many of the Asian suppliers, they put in other materials to stretch the honey out, and it's adulterated. That way they can make more profit. There's a huge scandal with that if you look into it. So unless you actually take your honey to a lab or buy it from your local farmer, unpasteurized, of course, I think all honey pretty much is pasteurized in this country that you buy on retail. But this container, it's very expensive. I should have showed the price. It's like $8 or something. It's crazy. And this is kind of a generic Western family product. It's one of the house brands for Save-On Foods. But look how small it is, 375 grams. The picture doesn't do it justice for the scale. It's very tiny. But obviously they have to do that because honey is expensive nowadays. And the same goes for one of our traditional Canadian export products, maple syrup and maple syrup products. This maple syrup spread, I had to show you the price, is 260 grams, very small little jar, $9. Oh, pardon me, $8.99. Maple syrup is very expensive. It's so expensive that trucks carrying liquid maple syrup have been hijacked. Yeah, that's how expensive this product is. This is like the cocaines of Canada, if you can get your hand on some of that bootlegged old maple syrup. But it is another example of how a product that gets very expensive, to keep consumers buying it, they shrink the actual product size so that consumers will at least attempt to buy it occasionally. Now I got to show you this ice cream that I bought. It's in my freezer here. Do you remember when you used to buy ice cream, it was either 1 quart, 2 quart, or a gallon? You remember that? Or up in Canada, it would be like 1 liter, 2 liters, or an actual imperial gallon, which an imperial gallon, if anybody remembers, is about 20% bigger than a US gallon. That was the way ice cream used to be sold. Oh no. Years ago, they switched to 2 liters, which was fine. You know, then they switched to half gallon, which was fine. 1.75 liters-ish. But, oh no, they've even shrunk the containers a little bit more down to 1.66 liters Really? They got to shrink it down just a little bit more to save a little bit on that ice cream. God forbid they sell it in a traditional quantity. I don't get it, but it's all about the profits. With all the food price escalation with the COVIDs and the supply chain problems, be on the lookout for this happening in your local grocery store wherever you are in Western Europe, Canada, United States, Australia, or New Zealand. It's a phenomenon that is growing fast. So anyway, put your comments down below on what you have seen and how you've experienced this product shrinkage, or shrinkflation as they call it. The incredibly shrinking product. Post your comments down below. Hope you're doing well. As always, keep your wheels in the ground. Stay safe. Over and out.
I got you, I got you.